Hello everyone. So before we officially start the main sharing session, we'll just go through the agenda for today's session to set expectation and what to look forward to throughout this whole session. Yeah. So first of all, I'll be going through the overall guidelines for this whole entire session. And then I'll move forward to introducing Bernard and his business, Dawn Adaptive. And then we'll move on to the next and main sharing session, where we'll learn more about Bernard's entrepreneurship journey. And then the Q&A session is where we'll be answering your questions that you might have for Bernard. So if you have any question, you can leave it in the chat. And during the closing, we'll be sharing with you the next Tauke Talk session that you can register for. All right. So the guidelines are, please be reminded to make sure you turn off your video and your audio at all times, as this is a recorded session. And if you have any question, please do leave it in the chat. And if you're communicating in the chat, please do use respectful language. Yeah. All right, my name is Cindy. Welcome to Tauke Talks, everyone. So Tauke Talks is actually a series of sharing sessions where small but mighty business owners come and actually share about their motivation behind why they started their journey and also why they started their business. All right, so this sharing session is brought to you by RYSE, a Malaysian research and social outreach project that empowers youth through entrepreneurship. And RYSE is actually supported by Citi Foundation. Yep. So the reason why we created Tauke Talks is because we believe that we should highlight stories of small entrepreneurship, as entrepreneurship is not only limited to what we know as like big businesses that's supported by high technology. Yeah. So hopefully through Tauke Talks, we get to showcase a lot of these stories of small business owners that are still persevering despite the circumstances at hand. All right. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our guest for today, Bernard from Dawn Adaptive. Hi, Bernard.
Hi, Cindy. Hi, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here. And thanks to you and your team. I can't wait to start this session.
Thank you for being a part of this session. We're actually very excited to learn more about Bernard's perspective of business and why he created Dawn Adaptive. So we'll start off with a short introduction. So Bernard, could you briefly tell us a bit about your business, Dawn Adaptive, how it started, what kind of product you sell, and how do people actually find out more about your product?
Okay, sure. All right, Cindy. Okay, so let me start with explaining about Dawn Adaptive. So what is Dawn Adaptive actually? To put it simply, we are an adaptive clothing brand, the first in Malaysia actually. And I know many people haven't heard of the word adaptive, so they don't know what is adaptive clothing, because this is actually very popular in Western culture, but in Asia, not so much. So actually, to explain what is adaptive clothing, it's actually generally is basically clothing that is modified and made easier for people with physical challenges to dress up, basically. So people with disabilities, the elderly citizens, or just infirm, like people who injured themselves, couldn't use their hand or something like that. But it's actually more than that, because I believe adaptive clothing is clothing that's made convenient to wear. So anyone can wear, even like my friends buy our clothing. Sometimes my friends are not, they don't have any disability or anything, but they like it because it's convenient and easy to wear. And adaptive clothing can range from everything from tops to bottoms to shoes. They all have some kind of special features, And to basically give you a brief of our products, we have our first product launch was the magnetic polo tee. So true to its name, it's exactly what it sounds. It's a magnetic polo shirt. Instead of buttons, if you can see the picture right now, it looks like there's a button outside, like a normal polo shirt, right? But the buttons are just there for decoration because you don't actually use them. There's actually magnets hidden beneath the t-shirt placket. So all you have to do is just bring your t-shirt together and it snaps together in place. So this is really good for people with dexterity issues, any mobility issues. It just helps them wear it quicker, easier. And there's a lot, you even have it for shirts, pants. Yeah, so that's a brief of our magnetic polo tee. And then recently we also launched the smile mask. The smile mask, to explain what it's about, we created it in light of the pandemic because we noticed a problem. Of course, everyone can wear a normal mask, and stay safe and all, but we are forgetting the deaf community. So they actually they rely heavily on visual cues, like your lips movement. It actually helps them a lot, For us, not so much, right? Because we listen to the noise, to what you're saying, the sound. But they look at visual cues like your face movement, your lips. And not only the deaf, are also people hard of hearing. So that's why we created a smile mask, because your lips can be seen. And I believe it is also multifunction is good for ladies who want to show their lipstick in this pandemic. It hides your beautiful makeup, right? So much of effort and then it's gone just like that. So yeah, that's the smile mask. It's a reusable cloth mask. And yeah, that's our latest product for now. And yes, hopefully we come up with full range soon. Yeah, that's a brief about our business, Dawn Adaptive.
Right. Thank you so much, Bernard, for sharing about that. So if you guys would like to find out more about Dawn Adaptive, or you're really inspired and drawn towards the magnetic polo tee and would like to purchase one for yourself, you can check them out via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube, or you can purchase directly from their website as well. So if you're interested, you can just search Dawn Adaptive on Google or any other social media platform. Yep. So thank you so much for the introduction of business, Bernard. So now I would like to focus more towards your journey, your entrepreneurship journey. Could you share to us a little bit about what actually inspired you to actually start your own business? Maybe you can walk us through your background. How did you meet your business partner? Things like that.
Okay, sure. Okay, where do I start? Let me start by saying, so before Dawn Adaptive, I actually started another company that was Dawn Management. That's DON and Management, Dawn Management. So the Dawn stands for Diversity, Opportunity, and Novelty. And that is actually a talent and modeling agency for models with disabilities. I started this because being a person with a disability myself, I felt like people with disabilities are not being shown enough in the limelight, There were not enough representation of them in the fashion industry in Malaysia, and even the media, like when it comes to acting, you don't see much of these talents. So that's why I started Dawn Management, so that we could, make their voices be heard and represent them so that they could have more opportunities in the fashion and media industry in Malaysia. But even while running Dawn Management with my team, I always had this idea of adaptive clothing. This is something I want to do. And I think for all entrepreneurs out there, you know the feeling, right? When you have a idea in your mind, you just can't sleep at night, until you make it come to life. If you don't do that, you feel guilty, like you're not living your fullest potential. So the idea of an adaptive clothing has always been in my mind as well, to bring it to life in Malaysia. But so I would like to share that I'm the type of guy who works better with in a team with people. So that time I was alone and no one shared my vision of adaptive clothing. So I couldn't really, I would say, kickstart the journey. And it's interesting because everything is connected, So one day we actually got an application from Dawn Management for a model. And long story short, the person who contacted me is now my business partner in Dawn Adaptive. Usha Nai, she actually has a daughter with cerebral palsy, Ivana, who joined our agency as a model. So that's how I got to know Usha. And as we were talking, we become friends. She told me one day that she actually had this idea of starting an adaptive clothing brand. So yeah, that's how we co-founded this together. And that's how Dawn Adaptive come to life, It's actually surprised me that she had this idea, because I had this in mind as well, but it's kind of hard when you're alone to do things. So the moment we we partnered up. Everything just started taking place one after another, and soon enough, the Dawn Adaptive was born. Yeah, just like that, you know. And I think I would also like to share, like, to all entrepreneurs out there, when you're starting a business, it's not about doing it for the sake of business, because if you want to do it for making money, I think you can, there's a lot to do, right? You can just do any kind of business, but it's more important to do it because you have a vision you want to make come true. That's always been you, like the idea, like the concept I was telling you, I can't go to sleep at night because this adaptive clothing is always in my mind. So yeah, that's my advice to those out there. Go for what that's always with you, your passion. Do that and you will definitely feel more fulfilled. Yeah.
Right, that's great to hear that you actually found a business partner that shared your vision. Because you talk about Dawn Management's name, right? I think the audience is also curious to know why did you, and we know the word adaptive come from adaptive clothing, but why Dawn Adaptive? Maybe you can share a bit about that.
Oh, you mean Dawn Management?
No, like Dawn Adaptive, because you explained Dawn Management. Adaptive. Yeah.
Okay. So that one you got to give credit to my business partner Usha. She came up with the name Dawn Adaptive. Okay, adaptive, we wanted to put it behind so people know it's an adaptive clothing brand. But the Dawn, D-A-W-N, actually means the start of something new. So like we all know dawn means the first light, right? After darkness, the first light is called dawn. So that's what it symbolizes. It means like a new change is coming, especially here in Malaysia, since we didn't have an adaptive clothing brand.
Right.
So that's the whole idea behind the name Dawn Adaptive. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Thank you so much for explaining that. I think a lot of people will get a clearer picture. Okay, so now we learn a bit about what inspired you to start your business. Could you share a little bit about maybe did you have any background in fashion, or did you have any background in business that actually pushed you to start your own business, or was it something you've always wanted to do?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Well, I just like to say that growing up, something about me I was always drawn towards fashion, and it's strange to understand. It was difficult to understand back then, right? Like my parents would be wondering, why is this boy? He's so young, like I was 6, 7 years old, maybe even younger. But the clothes I wear, I always wanted to be in a certain way, in a certain color coordination. And I was giving them so much trouble, you know, like my sister or anyone in my age would just wear whatever their parents give them. But I was so concerned about looks even back then, you know. So, and then growing up, I felt insecure being on a wheelchair because I noticed that there were not enough people in wheelchair that are models, basically. And I ask myself this question, why all the time? I don't see them in the magazines. I don't see them in billboards, posters, you know? So I decided we have to do something about this. Also because I met a lot of beautiful people with disabilities, also passionate with fashion, but they don't have the platform to come out, you know? So I figured with Dawn Management, we could actually be a talent and modeling agency, and we can represent them, and finally they can come out, you know. And sure enough, now they're in magazines, TVs, billboards. Yeah.
Great, thank you for sharing about that. Because like you mentioned that how adaptive clothing is not accessible in Malaysia, and I'm pretty sure as an entrepreneur, when you start out, there wasn't much like entrepreneurial role model you could look up to. Maybe could you share a little bit about an entrepreneur that actually inspired you throughout your whole entrepreneurship journey, or anyone in particular that actually inspired you?
Okay, so who I look up to is actually someone very famous. I think most of the audience here will probably know. It's none other than Elon Musk. That's because I would say what inspires me from him would be his work ethic. It's so real that sometimes we tend to forget this, that most of us, we say things like we want to build a successful company, we want to do this, we want to change the world, But when you ask yourself, how much work are you really putting in? Are you giving 100%? I'm pretty sure most time the answers will be no, right? You're not really, like, what time are you sleeping? Are you going to bed earlier than you could? Of course, don't get me wrong. I'm a big advocate for getting enough rest and sleeping healthily. But if you have a certain goal you want to accomplish, there's nothing wrong with giving intense focus, like let's say 6 months of intense focus or 1 year. You could actually do a lot. You'll be amazed with the things you can do if you really give everything you've got, you know. I think with Elon Musk, you hear stories about him sleeping on the floor in his factory. That really shows, right? I mean, being an entrepreneur, people think they are entitled for, you know, being the boss or being, you know, giving employees the work. They should do less work, but that's not true. Actually, you should be the hardest worker at all times, and always go all in. You know, like if you have a dream, give everything you've got. You know, because I like to say that you can sleep all you want when you die. You know, so yeah. For now, if you have a dream, work hard. Your future self will definitely thank you for that.
Thank you for sharing about that. I think it really reflects as well in what you're pursuing right now. I think that like what you told me earlier before we actually started that you're currently working full time as well while
Yes,
managing
right.
two things. So I kind of see how Elon Musk actually inspired you from that. Thank you so much for sharing on that.
Yeah.
All right. So now I want to focus a little bit more back about to your business. Could you share a bit? I know with starting any new business or any new thing in life, right? There are always going to be challenges. Even if you do mainstream business or you do something niche like Dawn Adaptive, could you share a bit about the challenges you faced when you first started and how did you actually overcome them, or are you still trying to overcome them? Yeah.
Okay, so for Dawn Adaptive, I would say the first challenge we faced was maybe this is something all businesses face, but we also faced it, which was financial challenge. So for that part, we overcome it by I mean, you can say we put a lot of skin in the game. Like we had to put our savings as well. And if you do read our interviews, you will know that my partner Usha, her mom also heavily invested in the business. So I think in a way, all this is also good because it makes us more committed towards towards what we're doing. You know, otherwise we will just take it easy and go as slow as we want. But because we know that we had limited resources to begin with, so it makes us focus all the time. So yeah, that was one financial, but we got through that. And also being new to this fashion industry. Of course, in Dawn Management, we work with fashion in the fashion industry as well, but it was not clothing, you see. So it's a whole different thing when you talk about clothing and modeling. When you talk about clothing, you need to have good suppliers. You need to know factories. You need to do your research on which materials work best, comfortable, and all that. So that was a challenge as well, looking for suppliers. I think you could say that we took around 1 year or more for us to prepare everything. Like we had to speak to so many suppliers overseas, locally, and we had to meet so much of emails, calls. It was kind of tiring. We almost like we got fed up as well, but we just kept on pushing. And I think the tricky part here is sometimes even when you find a good supplier, one day they can just say that they're no longer supplying what you're looking for. So that would be a big headache, and you have to go again and start the process of looking for a trustful supplier in terms of material or whatever it is you're looking for. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, I would also like to say that to those out there listening, it's important to be well prepared when you want to start a business, but also don't wait until everything's perfect, because as we all know, perfection is just you can say it's something very subjective, right? It's like an illusion. It doesn't really exist. It's different for different people. So when you at least have enough to begin, you know, as you begin, you will pick up the pieces, and you can build from there onwards. If you're gonna wait for everything to be perfect, you're gonna be waiting for a long time. And yeah, and the interesting is, you know, Cindy, we actually started during the pandemic was just begun and the MCO came. So we were actually wondering, what are we supposed to do? Is this a good time to launch? If we launch, people might not buy, you know. We started waiting, and we waited for 1 month, 2 months, and then we saw it was not going away. And then we finally decided to just go for it. So yeah, that's an example. If you wait, you could be waiting for forever, and who knows, people might come and just do it before you, you know.
Right. So like essentially there's no right timing to starting a business, right?
Correct. Go for it when you feel like, it's hard to say, but it's a balance of having what you want, but not completely, because you wait till it's perfect, probably you won't, you know, you probably want to achieve that as well.
Right.
So yeah, if you feel you got enough to begin, then begin. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for that. Actually, I'm curious about, was it hard for you when you first started, right? To actually educate the public about adaptive clothing, or was the market already ready to accept adaptive clothing?
The good thing here was before, like I mentioned, before Dawn Adaptive, I was with Dawn Management. So I think that one really helped with building the connections to all our target audience.
Right.
And I was also actively involved in NGOs representing people with disabilities last time. So I think we had the connections. We just had to spread the word, and slowly we found our market. Educating the rest of the public was kind of hard, but yeah, you just a little bit of creativity, you can do it, you know, like show them what is it, why is it needed, show them who are the people who benefits from it. You know, social media is such a powerful tool. We use it tremendously to help our business, and it works very well to educate the public what's adaptive clothing.
All right, great. So you mentioned a bit just now about how you guys started during the MCO. You know, with the challenges that comes with the the COVID pandemic, and with the uncertainty still present because of the pandemic, how are you and your business partner planning to kind of maintain or kind of grow your business?
Okay, this is like a mix of, I'm going to give a mixed answer right now, because with this pandemic, I would say it's both good and bad.
Right.
It's bad because for us, in a way, I feel that our customer spending power has decreased. And if you look at what we're doing, we're in the clothing industry, right? So, I mean, how many people needs clothes right now? They're just in their home, and they're probably not going to spend much on clothes. So that's the bad part for us. But the good part would be, we are actually an online business, right? So we have an online store. We don't have a physical store yet. We have an online store. So that really helps us, because we can reach our audience easily. They can also buy effortlessly from online. And yeah, I think this online thing really helps. More business should come online. I know a lot of businesses are now rushing to come online because of the pandemic, right? So yeah, I would say in terms of challenges, it's just this. Yeah, we of course we also have other issues, like the other organizations that we were talking to, and our other key suppliers and all also stopped operating. So that was a little bit of a challenge. Let's say we had a new product we were doing R&D, so that one had to pause, you know, because now it's hard for them to communicate with us, to send materials, because their business slowed down, and it affects us indirectly. And the other organizations that we want to collaborate with as well, they have closed operations for the pandemic. So yeah, it's tricky, I would say. But I would like to say that in situations like this, it's so important to have creativity. I truly believe that any problem you face, people would say sometimes it's a lack of opportunity or lack of resources, but I truly believe creativity can actually bring you out of any problem, like
Right.
I can say 99% of the time. That's because you just need a little bit creative, whether you're short on finances, whether you don't have the um, right people by your side. If you just get creative, things can start moving. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that about your business. Now we'll move on to a more brighter note, more positive note. Since starting your business in 2020, what would you say is your business proudest achievement? What could you say that it's something that you feel that you have achieved as a person and your business have achieved?
This one would be, it would be a lot actually. Even if you ask, I think you ask my partner Usha, she would also mention this a lot because we started out with nothing just a year back, and back then we were just picturing how would things turn out. We were unsure of many things like how would the public react and all. But fast forward a year later, and we have achieved so many things. Like it's just insane. Like I think one of it would be that people accept our products and we're actually changing lives for the better, especially to our target audience. It makes their lives easier. I also wear the magnetic quality as well when I go out. It's so convenient to wear. That would be one, I would say. But the other would be just recently we got featured in Star newspaper. So that's a big one because like I mean we all know Star newspaper is like the major newspaper in Malaysia. So when I think back of the time when we first started, when we were so unsure of everything, and now being featured in Star newspaper, it's just like, wow, mind blown. Like things, dreams do come true if you you persevere, you keep going, and you build the discipline to keep going, and you just believe in what you're doing, even when sometimes it feels like there's a roadblock ahead, but just keep going. You will definitely reach that one day.
Right. Yeah, I think for someone like for the audience who doesn't know, they recently just celebrated their first year anniversary for Dawn Adaptive, and they also has been featured on a lot of he's being humble just saying the Star, but actually they've been featured on the Bolton Post, FMT News. So if you like to find out more about his story and Usha's story, you can check them out on the newspaper platforms as well. Okay. All right, thank you so much for sharing your proudest achievement. I think that's good to hear that you guys are getting the recognition that you guys deserve truly for representing people with disability in Malaysia.
Thank you so much.
Right, so now I'll move on to my last question for you. Then we'll move on to the audience question. I think the audience have a few questions for you. My last question is, as a young person yourself and a young entrepreneur, do you think young people should start their own business, and why do you think they should do so or not?
Kim, I really love this question. I have so much to share. I would start by saying the situation we are in right now, which is this current pandemic, I would definitely say it's good to start a business because it's easier than ever now because contrary to popular belief, people think it's hard now, but it's actually easy because you can go online and everyone is searching online for things, whether it's groceries or keychains or clothes or whatever. So I think now it's a good time to start because you need more income, right? I mean, times are hard and you need at least one stream. Sorry, one stream's not enough. You need 2 streams, 3 streams of income to sustain yourself. So this is definitely a good time for young people to start a business. But I would also advise to young people out there if you're going to start a business, please keep your day job first and do your startup or whatever it is, because you don't know how things are gonna turn out, And what I would say is these things take time. It's like a learning process, You need at least 1 year to 3 years of experimenting. There is a lot to learn. Like even till today, I'm learning, I'm making mistakes. My team and I were like, we're learning new things every day, we're making mistakes. And if you just leave your day job like that, I'm afraid then you might not be able to put food on the table. So definitely I wouldn't encourage to straight away go into business without having a backup plan,
Right.
But also actually getting a 9 to 5 is good, because you should do that first, because it actually teaches you how a corporate company works, how the system works, how you deal with people. These are things which are so important when you want to start your own business, and there's nothing wrong with working under a company. I know there's nothing wrong with 9 to 5. I know people nowadays, especially the young generation, 9 to 5 don't seem glamorous to them, because everyone has adapted this mindset that, oh, entrepreneurship is the way to go, But that's not true actually, because you do whatever is good for you. At the end of the day, if you're happy, you can take care of your family, you can put food on the table, anything's good. There's no right or wrong. Entrepreneurship is just something you go for if, like I said, you had this idea in you and it's killing you when you're not doing it, and you really want to bring it to life. So that's when you go for it. Otherwise, you can just stick to a 9 to 5. That's what makes you fulfilled. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So that's what I would share. Oh yeah, and just one more thing. Okay, so when you want to start a business, I think a lot of young people as well think that it needs to be something fancy. They think it can't be normal things, because they think it won't make it big if it's something normal. But that's not true. You could even start a water bottle business, but put your own unique, I would say, your own unique flavor into your own unique taste and personality into the business, and you could become something different. You don't have to be the next Apple or the next Microsoft, because that's just unrealistic. Start with something simple and put your own unique personality into it, and slowly grow your business from there. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing about that. I think that's really good advice for young people that are thinking of like changing to from a 9 to 5 to a business, or thinking to start their own business. Right. I hope that helps everyone. Now we'll go on to the Q&A session, where we'll be answering all the audience's questions. Yeah. So the first question they have for you, Bernard, is what are some tips for finding a business partner?
Oh, wow. I've never gotten this question before. Okay, so what are some tips on finding a business partner? Okay, I would like to just share that this is very important for you to understand that before you even think of getting a business partner, make sure you are the right partner. And what I mean by that is make sure you have proper communicating skills with people, and that's why I say it's important to work under someone first, so you learn how to communicate, how to take orders before you give orders. And I would say this because when I first started my first startup, Dawn Management, I made a lot of mistakes in terms of partnership, and until today it's still it's still there, and you still can't forget it, because the mistakes you make are like just there lifelong. You make enemies if those are of course extreme cases, but it actually all comes down to just how you communicate. Of course your business matters, but you have to respect one another, in the end. And you're gonna encounter a lot of situations where you and your partner don't agree on the same thing. So this part, actually, the way to overcome this is always remember that it's not about you, it's also not about your partner. It's about the business. Think of the best interest of the business. Sometimes it's hard when you give a lot of input and suggestions, but your partner don't listen to you, or maybe they just push your ideas down. You feel like sometimes it feels like your ego is hurt, but always, I would say, step back and don't look at it as that way, but look at it as the best interest of your business. Because I can assure you, most of the time, if you just step back, you realize that what your partner is saying actually makes a lot of sense. And I encountered that a lot of times, like it's not about me or some of my partner, it's about the business. So sometimes what I say makes sense, sometimes what my partner say makes sense, but we go with the best one, So yeah, that's what I would say about finding the right partner. First, learn how to communicate, be a good person, and then learn how to tolerate with another human being. And I think automatically you will know when you meet the right partner. If it doesn't work, it's okay. You can always move on, but end things properly on a good note. Don't create enemies because that won't be good for you in the long run. When you need support later on, you're gonna see that there are some people against you. So yeah, these are just some of my advice. Hope it makes sense.
Right. Yeah, it's very interesting for you to say that, it's not about you or your partner, it's about the business, right? At the end of the day. All right. The next question here is the pandemic and prolonged lockdown has affected your target customer spending power. Is there any plan you would venture into essential products other than current fashion line?
Oh yes, definitely. Like I was always saying, I give so much emphasis on creativity. Like when the pandemic came, we had some new products we wanted to launch, even like photo shoots we wanted to do, but we couldn't go out, right, because it was not safe.
Right.
So we decided to get creative. We took our best iPhones, our best cameras, and just decided to do it ourselves. Sure enough, the quality was actually not bad. It was up to standard what we're looking for. So you see, it's just a little bit of creativity here. So coming back to the question, yes, definitely, but it's still in plans. I have no idea yet what exactly we're gonna do for to counter this situation right now, because clothes don't matter so much. Maybe what we can do is we can come up with a new product, something else, maybe something you wear at home. I don't know. So there's a lot of things that can be done. So we're already in already working, brainstorming of new things, because we know, like I mentioned, we know it's not good to wait for it to go away. Instead of waiting for times like this to go away, you should actually adjust to it. That's the smarter choice. Yeah, adjust to it. We don't know how long it's going to be. It could even be a few more years. So yeah.
Right. So everybody look forward to Dawn Adaptive and their upcoming line, if that's possible. Yeah. Right. So the next question here is, what kept you going during your most challenging hour?
Okay, interesting. Maybe it would be the fact that for me, I'm passionate a lot on people with disabilities, because being a person with disability myself, I really want to help the community to improve their life. They go through a lot of struggles every day, whether it's in terms of transportation, in terms of clothing, in terms of accessibility. So that's why the ideas I do revolve around that. So whenever I get stuck in a roadblock or I face tough times, I just remember the bigger picture here. It's really not about me also at the end of the day, because it's about the next generation that's going to come. Like, are we going to make their life meaningful, or are they going to be discriminated? Are they going to face difficulties? So yeah, that's what I do it for, and I think that keeps me focused.
So the last Q&A we have actually from the audience here is, how do you manage your time between your day job and your other job?
Okay, so of course I multitask, but I also like to share that recently I came up with, I started to realize that doing too many things at one go really reduces the quality of my work. So like when you do too many things at one go, you really can't focus. Even when you focus, your quality starts to drop, and that's not what you want, right? You don't want to be giving low quality service or products out there So I think really be sure of what you want and try to minimize it. Go for what you really want. Don't try to do everything just because you're interested in this, interested in that. Just pick a few which you're really passionate about and go all in for that. And in terms of multitasking, it's important to set a schedule, like a strict schedule. I have a schedule of what I do, from I wake up till I sleep, and how much time I invest in this business versus that business in my day job. I have to make sure that the quality I'm giving to all of it is up to par, So yeah, I think have a plan. Make sure you have a plan. Don't just let it drag you, Otherwise, it's going to be messy and horrible. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for answering for that. So thank you, Bernard, for being here today and actually sharing your insight on the world of entrepreneurship. So everyone, that was Bernard from Dawn Adaptive, sharing his experience at Tauke Talks, brought to you by RYSE and supported by Citi Foundation. I think a lot of us could learn a lot of things today from your sharing itself about Dawn Adaptive and you yourself, Bernard. A few highlights that I could bring forward to the audience here is that your passion towards the community that you serve and towards the vision of your business actually kind of reflect in your sharing today. And it really shows that there's so much reward in doing a business that gives back to the community. And I hope that the youth that also have that kind of colleague or have that kind of passion would kind of look up to you as a role model. And your viewpoints on perfection and also work ethic is also really, really admirable for someone that is quite young. So I hope everybody could really learn and actually take away things that he has shared today and also apply it to your life if that's possible. So if you're really interested about Dawn Adaptive, want to learn more about them and also want to purchase that product, or actually refer them to other friends that might be interested, you can go and check them out via the social media and also their website to learn more about the business. Yeah. To sum things up, I'm going to share a bit about upcoming Tauke Talks that's coming up next week. So next week, we'll be talking to Chelsea, who is the founder of Chelsea. So she also do fashion. So if you're interested to find out more about her journey and how she actually started her business, you can always go and register for her session at using the bit.ly, here bit.ly/Tauke Chelsea. Yeah. All right, so if you'd like to find out more about Tauke Talks and also to learn more about RYSE program and what we do, you can always go and check us out via our social media. And also, if you would like to watch or rewatch Bernard's recording, you can also go and check us out at RYSE program as well. So thank you so much, Bernard, for being here today and sharing your your insight.
Thank you as well, Cindy, for being such a great host. And thank you for all that's tuned in today. I really enjoyed the session. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. We'll see you in the next Tauke Talks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.